Question. For psychology, I've heavily been focusing on praising myself for process adherence, setup identification, execution quality, doing my best to not worry about the outcome of trades. Easier said than done. We see some of your style on stream. Things like copy trader engaged feels like a way to announce to yourself as well as us. Yeah, like kind of like get you in the zone. Do you have any recommendations on routines, exercises, or in-trade practices that help to stay on track? Listen, for me personally, I have never really subscribed to, perhaps this isn't in the question, but this is how I take it. I've never personally really subscribed to like every morning I go look in the mirror, I spin around 3 times, I say, you are profitable. Because in the back of my head, I'm like, this doesn't, this isn't the thing, right? I need to go do my job, okay? I need to retain positive expected value. And I need to basically figure out a way to get myself to not do stupid things, to put it bluntly, to not break my own rules consistently. Now, here's my answer to that question, just the real answer. Again, all I can do is tell you what I think is the most helpful. To keep yourself on track, here's the reality. For a couple of weeks, you're going to have to, I'll say, like, fake it till you make it. And what I mean by that is you don't have a track record. Okay? So, what do? Because, it's easier said than done, like you said, to not care so much about the outcome of trades when you don't have the track record that gives you that luxury of not caring. Guys, when you're profitable and you've been profitable for like a minute, a good minute, like a while, it's really easy to lose a trade and say, oh, cost of doing business. Okay, interesting. Let's look for the next one. It gets easier the longer you do this, and it never stops getting easier. But in the early days, it's backwards, right? It's like you kind of need it to be easier in the earlier days because you don't have any confidence as a trader. But that's the way it is. It's backwards. You have to borrow that confidence early on until you can get it yourself by developing a track record that gives you that backlog, that provides you with that confidence. So for me, you have to go a couple of weeks, or I guess from me to you, here's the answer. You have to go a couple of weeks where you just say, okay, I'm just going to commit a couple of weeks to doing my job. I'm going to have healthy distractions on the side if the market's not doing much. Now, again, you guys know if it's like you want to listen to a boring kind of podcast, if you're into light music on the side, hey, maybe you want to read like a trading book, though that might get you in the mood to trade. So maybe read like a regular book or listen to an audiobook or, I don't know, something relatively boring that keeps you thinking, though. As traders, we like to sit in rooms and think. At least I do. I like to sit in a room by myself and think. That doesn't necessarily mean in silence. Maybe with the help of like a space podcast or something that gets your mind and keeps it occupied, but nothing that makes you miss something on the screen. You want something that keeps you thinking, but you always have that subconscious that's locked into the screen where, like, if a RAM setup starts presenting itself or the context changes, you get to look at the screen and say, and it snaps you out and say, oh, I got to do something here. Or while you're in a trade and you're managing it, you're always you have one eye on the screen and you're managing as you need it, and you do not make mistakes because you're distracted. That is key. You can't be making mistakes because if you're getting distracted, what you're doing on the side is too mentally stimulating. You got to have something that keeps you occupied, but doesn't break you too far away from the charts. Okay? I don't have a special routine or something. My entire goal is to just lay back on that backlog. Okay? Again, when I lose a trade, I genuinely care less than some people who watch me lose the trade. They care more than I do, and it's not their money. That is a blessed position to be in. You know how I got to that point? By building that backlog of undeniable proof to myself. You need to build it to yourself, nobody else. This is for you, big dog. Build that undeniable proof that when you show up and you do your job and you trade this methodology, strategy, you get the desired result. The longer you do that and the more of the desired result you get, the less you will feel the need to have any kind of routine or exercise. Now, I'm not saying don't have a routine in the morning for yourself. Like, obviously, that's very important. But as far as like a trading superstition or exercise or something that gets you in the zone, for me, the answer is nope. Obviously, I have my copy trader engaged. Like, I'm having fun. I enjoy it. It gets me locked in. Like, all right, let's put something on. But, that's all it is. That's all it is. We're having fun. I'm having a good time. It gets me locked in for the trade. But, it's not like the secret. Okay? You just have to build that backlog. And that will take you the rest of the way. An exact comparison. This is the best comparison that I can think of off the top of my head. And it's a good comparison. When someone is like really struggling to lose weight and they go 18 months and they don't lose a single pound, they're like, this is really hard. They're like, this is the hardest thing I've done in my life. And then all of a sudden they're like, I'm so done. Something happens or, they just had enough. They're like, I'm so done. I'm committing 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I'm not going to cheat on my diet. I'm going to eat this. I'm going to eat chicken, breast, grilled, and asparagus. And it's going to be boring, and I'm going to embrace that shit. And they do it. And 2 weeks later, the scale is down 8 pounds. It doesn't matter if it's, mostly water with some fat. It doesn't matter. The scale's down, big dog. They look at that, and they look in the mirror, and they're like, oh, I think I notice. They're like, my face, like it looks a little less like bloated or whatever. I look good. And guess what? 3 months later, they're down 80. 80. All it took was a little traction. That's it. Like getting a car out of the mud. All it takes is a little traction. Just stick that board in front of the tire. Those tires are spinning all day. You get a little bit of traction, whole car is out of the mud. That is the routine or the exercise. That is what's going to get you and keep you locked in and on track. Build the track record. No matter how much you feel like you're faking it in the beginning, build that track record. And when I say faking it, I mean like it's a struggle for you to not break rules. Dude, you're going to have to. Lock in, commit. Say, if you're trading RAM, say, I'm going to trade RAM. I'm going to never break a rule, and I'm going to do this for a week, for 2 weeks. You can do anything for 2 weeks, dude. Come on now. 2 weeks for potentially the rest of your life? Let's get real. You can do that. And hopefully, at the end of 2 weeks, if you get that sample size big enough and you're doing things that are logical and managing things well, and your contextual read is reasonable, ideally at the end of that 2 weeks, you'll have some damn good results to show for it, and you'll look back, and now you can say, okay, now whenever I lose a trade, I can fall back on this. And it becomes subconscious, right? This is not like a conscious exercise. It's just you start to build that confidence because now you've done the thing. You've gotten the result. And you were treated well by not breaking rules, whereas you look back on every time you've broken rules and it's always spat back in your face. That compounds. Just like when someone struggles to lose weight for a year and a half, all of a sudden they commit for 2 weeks, they lose 8 pounds, they lose 12 pounds. They're like, man, I don't care if it's water, I don't care if it's fat, I don't care if I'm losing muscle. They're like, dog, I like the way I look better than I looked 2 weeks ago. 3 months, they're all jacked up, they're shredded, they look crazy, and they're a different human being. That can be you in your trading. Just commit. 2 weeks. to change everything.